Hi guys, the name is Mark here, and we're just going to do a little video here on a couple of words, and we'll start it off with the first one being duality. Now, you have a couple of words here. You have dual, I, and tie, so you have three there, and basically, or you have you, all, add another L, sometimes they omit a letter or add a letter, I, tie. So if you've been tied to something, do you think that would be good? Probably not. That might equal bondage, right? So anyhow, another word we're going to look at, and we're going to get into very shortly, is industry. And again, people are running around and they're thinking that everything's good for industry. And we have a few words here again. In, dust, and try. Does that sound good to you? So in dust you'll try. That don't sound good to me. So obviously you can see why the oil fields and all this stuff, they're polluting our rivers and our lakes and our, the drink and all that stuff, because they're creating massive amounts of pollutants and dust and dirt and just nasty stuff. So if you think working in the industry and the industrial oil field is good for you, well, oil and water don't mix, and if you do mix that, your water is going to be contaminated, okay, people? So now that we've explained that, we're going to look at a couple of things here, because what's going on here is a lot of people want to be spiritual, okay? So a lot of people want to be spiritual, so we'll mark this down. So spirit, you, and all. But what's happening is, how can you be spiritual, okay, and have spirituality when you live in an industrial world? You can't. What's happening is, the spirit knows no mind, okay? The mind is the serpent, it's the snake, it's the serpent, and it'll trick you. So you can see here, in dust, trial, that don't sound good, okay? Or try, all, we'll add another L, okay? So now that we've established that, once again, people are trying to be spiritual in a world that is industrial. You can see already there's a conflict of interest here, okay, people? So now what we're going to do, we know we're talking about spirituality here, duality, and industry. So we'll just get rid of that stuff, and we're going to go like this. Now it's going to go like this, people, okay? You can't be spiritual in an industrial world. The two of them just don't mix. It's like mixing oil and water, and at the end of the day, you're going to have a nasty byproduct of the two, okay? So the mind, which is the serpent, so the mind equals the serpent, okay, equals words equals language, okay, equals a slave's language, okay. You'll always be in a constant state of confusion equals a constant state of confusion, okay. So how can you try to understand something that you will truly never know, but yet you're trying to understand this, and you can see by trying to understand that you'll never truly know, and you'll always be in a constant state of confusion. What are they talking about, Do you see what they're talking about? Is it this C? Is it this C? Right? Is it the letter C? Right? So now that we've established this, okay, basically we're going to do a couple more things here. So we're going to go like this. And basically, okay, once again, mind equals serpent equals words equals language equals a slave's language, which equals a constant state of confusion. So how can you truly ever know something when you're in a constant state of confusion, okay? The mind will never rest if you want to be of the mind. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, am I going to be late? Am I going to be on time? I haven't picked up the groceries yet. All that stuff is of the mind, okay? And that equals a slave's language, a state of constant confusion. So now we're gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna show you something here. Now the soul, we're just gonna erase the mind here, because the mind, it'll just play tricks on you. And people, it is not to be trusted, okay? So now what's gonna happen is, the soul, if you want to be spiritual, the soul, okay, equals truth equals no words, okay, equals no words, as the truth requires few words. Actions talk louder, actions speak louder than words, okay, equals not trying to understand. And this is what the soul is. And this is being spiritual, people. Okay, you're not in the world of, oh, am I going to be late for work? And oh my God, did I get this course done? And oh, it just doesn't stop. Did I get the groceries? Did I pick up the kids? That is all a slave's language. But the soul equals truth, equals no words, equals not trying to understand anything, equals good or God. We'll just add another row. Okay, people? So, the soul is never trying to understand, as the soul instinctively knows from the heart. And thus, therefore, is not a slave's language. Okay, people? So, you can see where I'm going with this. Now, people might be going, oh, you're full of shit again, and stuff like this. But the soul knows no mind. Okay, people? So how can you be spirit in duality? You can't. Okay? You all lie, add another E, and tie. Maybe it'll help if I spell tie like this. That make things better for you people? So you can see where I'm going with this, okay? So you can't have spirituality in a you all lie tie, or you all lie I tie, because obviously that is a mistruth. So just wanted to convey this, people. So now we'll do a couple things here, and I just want to show you guys something. Now you guys might be saying, the soul in the heart space always knows. It's never trying to understand anything, as the soul truly knows. It's never trying to understand, it knows. And I'm going to prove this to you, okay? We're going to draw a man or a woman here, it doesn't really matter, okay? These will be the person's arms, and I'm using words interchangeably here, so don't get caught up in the spell, okay? And what's going to happen is this, okay? Once upon a time, this guy went up to a shaman and he said, how do you know which plants are to be used to heal people? And he said, the plants have spirit. Okay? And that's how they know. And the guy kind of laughed and he said to the shaman, well, geez, that's pretty funny. You know, for years and years, how do you know that mushroom or that plant's not going to kill you and you're going to die? Well, I'll tell you how they know, and it's just this simple, because the soul intuitively truly knows. It's not in a world of trickery where it's trying to understand something that it may never understand, because it'll just never know, right? But the soul truly knows. And to establish this, if you were to take somebody and you were to stand behind them and tell them to close their eyes, and you were to put a pack of cigarettes in one of their hands, okay, so this is a pack of cigarettes here, we'll just call them cigs or smokes, whatever, right? Okay, so what happens is, they'll close their eyes, you'll stand behind them, and if you press down on this arm and it drops like butter, that means that smoking cigarettes are not good for you. Okay? So the spirit truly knows. I don't know what they call this test, but we're just going to call it the arm test, okay? For the sake of shits and giggles. So you put that pack of smokes in there, and you go like this, and you have them close their eyes and put a pack of smokes in their hands, and don't tell them what it is, and you press down on this arm, and if this arm drops like this, like butter, and there's no resistance, these smokes equal bad. Okay, people? Just that simple. Things come down to two things in life: bad or good. Okay? Or God. Okay? So now we're going to reverse this supposition here. And we're going to go like this. So we've established that the pack of smokes are bad. And you'll see how easy their arm drops. Now if we were to put an apple, and this is my apple, people, in this hand, and they close their eyes, and you go to press down on this arm and it's not dropping and there's a lot of resistance, that tells you that instinctively with their eyes closed, that apple equals good. You see this, people? So that's how these shamans knew whether or not plants were good for them or not. Or whether or not some were good for healing properties. How do you think they found out that if we take snake venom, take the actual venom from a snake and turn it into anti-venom, that it'll counter the venom? Obviously, because the plants, everything has spirit built into it, people, okay? So I just wanted to establish that. And everything comes down to good or bad, as we've established. Life is simple. It's either God or bad. Now the other thing is, something else in life, you have either happiness or sadness. Okay? So if it's good, that would equal happiness, and if it's bad, that would equal sadness. See how easy this thing is, people? So the soul truly knows whether things are good or bad instinctively, and you can just do an arm test, and if there's lots of resistance and you can't press this arm down, it's good. If the arm drops, it's crap and it's bad, okay, people? So the thing is, I'm just going to wrap this up. The bottom line is, if you're trying to live in a duality of mind and soul, you have a conflict of interest, as this will never equal peace. See where I'm going with this, people? Okay? You don't want to be stuck in a duality which is of the mind and trying to be spiritual at the same time. You ever notice when you're at peace that there is no mind? There's no mind at all. You're sitting there and you're just in like a daydream-like state, and there's no mind at all. Okay? And that equals peace. Now, when you're in the mind, that equals distortion. Things become very distorted, equals unhappy. It's just that simple, people. So the bottom line is this, okay? You cannot work in a field of industry and ever be happy. It's a conflict of interest. How can you be happy when you're going to a job that you absolutely can't stand? And so, industry, okay? So you're going to work for your job, and we've established in other videos that job equals public mismanagement of funds for private dishonesty and gain, and that slave, the definition of slave in my 1968 dictionary, equals a person who is the proper, again, a few words, tie of another. Now, do you think you're ever going to find happiness if you've signed up, you've signed up to be a slave who is going to work a job for public mismanagement of funds for private dishonesty and gain in an industrial world? Do you think you'll ever find happiness in this world, people? I guarantee you'll never find happiness in that world, because definition of job and slave, they coincide and they go hand in hand. And even a slave means you could be a slave to the drink, you could be a drunkard of the drink, that makes you a slave to the drink, or you could be a person who, you could be a man who has agreed to now become a person who has now become the property of another. So when you go to court and the judge says, are you this person? Or the officer says, are you this person? They're asking you if you're a slave who is the property of another. And obviously slaves are bought and sold like horses, okay? So you'll never, never, never be happy in a duality world, because you're being tied into all this industry and job and slave and stuff. Now, if you didn't have a job and you weren't forced to go to work and all that stuff, and you weren't working in industry, you would no longer have a duality between trying to be good and meanwhile working something that is bad, and then you would be happy, okay? And we have pie there too. That's a good thing. So anyhow, people, I'm going to leave it at that. If you're going to be stuck in this you, all, we'll add another L, I, tie, you will never be happy, people, and that equals bad. Bad for the sheeps. Now, if you're not stuck in an industrial world and you're not working a job that you absolutely can't stand and doing things that you don't like, which is unnatural to you, well, that equals good. And that's that. Just that simple. So if you people think you're going to run around and you're going to feel good when you're working a job that you actually cannot stand and you hate, you'll never be happy, people. I guarantee it. So trying to be happy working at a job that you absolutely can't stand is the definition of being a slave. And it's just that simple. So until you get rid of being a slave and of the mind, which equals slave, right? You will never, never be happy, people. I'm just going to leave it at that. I could go on for months, days, whatever, hours, minutes. I could babble my ass off, but there's no point. I'm just trying to keep things simple for you. So till then, keep your heads up, your sticks on the ice, and do realize that if you're going to work a job, you're going to hate it, and you will never be happy. But the minute you stop being a slave to your own subservience by working a job that you don't like and doing things that you don't like, which is unnatural to you, that is good, and then you'll be happy. So once again, keep your heads up, your sticks on the ice. This is not meant to discourage or disparage. I send everybody love, green lights, and peace, and namaste. Bye. Peace.